Hey everyone, welcome back to Talk Tickers. You know what we do here, breaking down those earnings calls so you can make some smarter money moves. And today we are diving deep into Match Group's Q4 2024 performance.
Yeah, buckle up. This one was a roller coaster new CEO, fascinating peek into the online dating scene, and yeah, AI was everywhere.
It really was. So before we get lost in the weeds, let's give everyone the big picture. Match Group finished 2024 strong, exceeding expectations. They recorded $3.5 billion in revenue.
Which is a 3% jump year over year, not too shabby.
Definitely not. And they also nailed their target for adjusted operating income margin, hitting 36%.
I think what's really interesting here is that this growth happened even with some pretty serious challenges they faced all year. I mean, the dating app world is getting super competitive, and the whole macroeconomic climate is kind of a question mark.
You're right. It really shows how solid their business model is and their ability to roll with the punches, adapt to how things are changing.
Absolutely. And speaking of adapting, let's talk about the new CEO, Spencer Raskov. He hasn't been in the role for long, but he's already shaking things up.
That's an understatement. The guy has a killer track record, leading companies like Zillow and Expedia. And get this, he invested $2 million of his own money into Match Group stock.
Talk about putting your money where your mouth is. That's a serious statement. It shows he truly believes in the company's potential, not just saying it, but actually putting skin in the game. And from what we've seen, he's not afraid to make bold moves.
He's definitely bringing in a fresh perspective, for sure. And he keeps talking about mission-driven leadership. What does that even mean when we're talking about dating apps? It's not exactly like saving the world.
Well, think of it this way. Raskov believes that Match Group is doing more than just setting up dates. He sees them as like a positive force, helping people build real relationships, fighting loneliness. That kind of purpose can be really powerful.
Okay, I see what you mean. It could help attract and keep great people working there, connect with users on a deeper level, and ultimately, drive long-term growth.
Exactly. It's about building a company culture and a brand that's about more than just swiping right. And it's worth pointing out that Raskov has a history of making this kind of leadership work at his previous companies.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should we say the algorithm in the app, AI.
Ah, yes, AI, the buzzword of the century. It's everywhere for a reason, and Raskov is all in on it. He's saying AI could be a total game changer, like when we all switch from desktop to mobile.
Yeah, I'm curious, but also a little skeptical. We hear AI is going to revolutionize everything these days.
Yeah.
What's Match Group actually doing that's so revolutionary?
They're exploring all sorts of AI applications. For example, they're using it to make their matching algorithms even better, more accurate and personalized. Imagine an algorithm that not only considers what you say you want, but also analyzes your behavior to predict compatibility.
Okay, that's pretty cool. But aren't dating apps already doing that to some extent?
To a degree, yes. But AI takes it way further. It can crunch massive amounts of data, find those subtle patterns that we humans might miss. And it's constantly learning and adapting, refining its recommendations as it goes.
So it's like having a personal matchmaker in your pocket constantly learning about you.
Exactly. And that's just the start. They're also using AI to personalize the whole user experience. Think AI-powered icebreakers, personalized profile suggestions, even real-time dating advice.
Wow, that's a lot. So AI for better matches a more personal experience. What else?
Another area they're working on is using AI for moderation tools. This is huge for creating a safer and more inclusive online dating scene.
That's important. It's no secret online dating has had its share of safety concerns. And to be honest, it's a big reason why some people are hesitant to use those platforms.
Exactly. And that's where AI can really make a difference. By making the environment safer and more trustworthy, Match Group can attract new users and keep the ones they have.
So AI is being presented as this game changer that's going to revolutionize not just Match Group, but the whole online dating scene.
Right. And Raskov believes AI can even grow the market by making online dating more appealing to a wider range of people.
Okay, this is all super exciting, but let's get down to brass tacks. How is this AI strategy playing out with their different brands? Starting with Tinder, their flagship app, but they had a bit of a rough year in 2024, declining monthly active users, some issues with their iOS ranking.
True. But let's not forget, Tinder is still the biggest player in the game. And they're taking steps to address those issues.
Such as? What are they doing specifically?
Well, they're focusing on a few key areas. One is creating a cleaner ecosystem, which means cracking down on fake profiles, bots, and spam. They're also working to improve user outcomes by focusing on quality matches and fostering more meaningful connections. And maybe most importantly, they're trying to bring the fun back to dating.
I like that last part. Bringing the fun back to dating sounds a bit cheesy, but it's true. Sometimes dating apps can feel like a chore.
Right. It can become all about swiping and matching and less about actually connecting with people. So Tinder is experimenting with new features and initiatives to make the experience more enjoyable and engaging. They're also testing out some interesting a la carte features like first impressions.
Tell me more about that.
So with first impressions, users can send messages based on specific things in someone's profile, like a shared interest or a funny photo. It's about encouraging more thoughtful and personalized interactions. And early data suggests it's showing promise in terms of engagement and match rates.
So while Tinder is working to regain its footing, Hinge has really emerged as a star, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Hinge has been seeing phenomenal growth, and there's a lot of optimism about its potential for even greater monetization in the future.
What's driving Hinge's success?
I think it's a few things.
Yeah.
First, Hinge markets itself as the dating app designed to be deleted. They're all about fostering deeper connections and helping people find real relationships. This really resonates with people who are tired of the superficiality of some other dating apps.
Okay, so it's tapping into that desire for something more substantial. What else?
Second, Hinge has a great product. The app is well designed, easy to use, and it encourages more thoughtful interactions. Like instead of just swiping left or right, users can like and comment on specific photos or prompts on someone's profile.
Ah, so it's about sparking conversation,
Yeah.
going beyond just physical attraction.
Exactly. And third, Hinge has been really smart about their marketing and branding. They've positioned themselves as the anti-Tinder, the app, for people who are serious about finding love. This has helped them attract a loyal and engaged user base.
And they've got this new matching algorithm that's generating buzz, right?
Yes. Apparently, it's so good that Match Group is thinking about rolling it out to some of their other brands. We don't know all the details yet, but it seems to be focused on identifying deep compatibility based on a wider range of factors. They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible with matching tech.
It's like the arms race of dating algorithms is heating up.
It really is. And it'll be interesting to see how these advancements in matching technology play out in the coming years.
All right, before we jump into Match Group's strategy with their other brands, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive into the world of evergreen and emerging brands and see how Match Group is balancing growth across their portfolio. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Talk Tickers. Before the break, we were really getting into the nitty-gritty of Tinder and Hinge, their performance and strategies.
Yeah, talking about those advancements in matching technology, especially with AI, how it's really shaking things up.
Totally. And now let's zoom out a bit and talk about Match Group's overall brand strategy. It's like this balancing act they're trying to pull off.
It is. They've got these established brands, what they call evergreen, and then all these newer niche emerging brands. It's like they're playing the long game, but also hedging their bets at the same time.
Exactly. It's a smart approach. They're trying to make up for any potential dips in their more mature brands with growth from these younger, more targeted apps.
So give me some examples. Which emerging brands are really catching your eye?
Well, Chispa, which is aimed at the Latinx community, has been killing it. They've seen amazing growth both in users and revenue. BLK, which is designed for Black singles, is another one that's really standing out.
And they just scooped up Salams, right? The app for Muslim singles seems like a savvy move tapping into a growing market that's been kind of overlooked.
For sure. It's all about catering to these niche audiences, recognizing that the one-size-fits-all approach to online dating just isn't cutting it anymore. People want platforms that get their cultural background, values, and interests.
It makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like online dating is evolving, moving away from those massive platforms towards something more personalized and targeted.
Exactly. And Match Group is clearly positioning themselves to ride that wave. They're not just buying up existing apps, they're developing their own too. They've got a whole incubator program focused on creating new and innovative dating platforms.
So they're not just sitting back and watching the market change, they're actively shaping it.
Exactly. And I think that's a key takeaway for investors. Match Group isn't afraid to experiment, to innovate, and to take calculated risks. They're constantly evolving and looking for new ways to grow.
Okay, all this talk about growth and innovation is exciting, but let's get back to the numbers for a sec. We know they ended 2024 strong, but how does this growth actually translate into value for shareholders?
That's the question everyone wants answered, right? Well, one thing that really jumped out at me in this earnings call was their commitment to returning value to shareholders. They're aiming to return at least 100% of free cash flow through dividends and share buybacks.
Now, that's something investors love to hear. It's a clear signal that they're not just focused on growth for its own sake. They're committed to rewarding the people who believe in the company's long-term potential.
It really shows how confident they are in their ability to generate cash flow. They're not hoarding it, they're putting it back in the hands of the people who matter most.
Now, during the Q&A with investors, there was this interesting question about whether Match Group is more focused on maximizing revenue overall or just squeezing as much revenue per payer as possible.
Yeah, that was a good one. Some investors were pushing for a more aggressive approach to monetization, focusing on getting more money out of each paying subscriber. But Match Group made it clear that their priority is overall revenue growth.
Which makes sense when you think about it. They have this diverse portfolio of brands, each with its own monetization strategy. They're not going to use a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. And they're also trying to be smart about the user experience. They don't want to drive people away by bombarding them with ads or making it too hard to use basic features. It's all about finding that sweet spot between making money and keeping users happy.
Okay, so they're focused on growth, they're giving back to shareholders, and they're taking a balanced approach to making money. Sounds like they're doing everything right.
They are, but let's not forget, no company is perfect. There are always risks and challenges, and Match Group is no exception.
Okay, so let's talk about those risks. What are the biggest threats to Match Group's continued success?
Like we mentioned earlier, competition is fierce in the dating app market. There are new apps popping up all the time, some targeting very specific niches. So Match Group needs to stay ahead of the game, always innovating and finding new ways to attract and keep users.
Right, like their incubator program.
Hmm.
That seems like a smart way to stay nimble and on top of the trends.
Definitely. And they also need to keep an eye on those emerging technologies. We've been talking about AI as a good thing, but it could also become a threat if competitors come up with even more advanced or innovative AI applications. Match Group can't just sit back and relax. They got to keep pushing.
It's a constant arms race. They need to keep pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
What else?
Another challenge is all the changing regulations. Governments all over the world are taking a closer look at dating apps, especially when it comes to things like user privacy and data security. Match Group needs to navigate those regulations carefully, make sure they're following the rules, while also protecting user data and maintaining that trust.
And we can't forget about the economy. Inflation, rising interest rates, the possibility of recession, all of that could affect how much people are spending. Dating apps might be popular, but they're not exactly necessities.
True. So Match Group will need to be aware of those economic headwinds and adjust their strategy if they need to. This might mean focusing on keeping costs down, finding ways to give users more bang for their buck, or even expanding into new markets where the economic situation is better.
It sounds like Match Group has its work cut out for them. But from what we've discussed, they also seem to be in a pretty good position to tackle those challenges.
I agree. They've got a strong leadership team, a diverse range of brands, a commitment to innovation, and a clear vision for the future. But of course, there are no guarantees when it comes to investing.
Well said. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to the AI conversation for a minute. We've talked about all the potential upsides, but what about the potential downsides? Are there any risks that come with relying so heavily on AI?
That's a great point, and one that's worth thinking about. Let's take a closer look at those potential pitfalls of AI in the dating world after a quick break. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Talk Tickers. Before the break, we were talking about some of the potential downsides of AI in the online dating world. It's easy to get swept up in all the excitement, but it's important to consider the risks too.
Definitely, AI is a powerful tool, but like any tool, it can be misused or have unintended consequences. We need to be aware of those potential pitfalls as we think about Match Group's strategy.
So let's get into it.
Yeah.
What are some of the concerns that come to mind when you think about AI and online dating?
Well, one of the biggest worries is the potential for bias AI algorithms are only as good as the data they're trained on. So if that data is biased, the algorithm is going to be biased too.
So, like if an AI is trained on data that suggests certain demographics are more desirable, it could end up perpetuating those biases in its matching recommendations.
Exactly. It could unintentionally reinforce societal prejudices and make things even more unequal. Match Group knows about this risk, and they say they're taking steps to reduce bias in their AI systems, but it's an ongoing challenge.
Yeah, it's like trying to outsmart human nature,
Yeah.
which, let's face it, is often pretty biased. What other concerns are there?
Another thing to think about is that AI could potentially make the whole dating experience even more superficial. If it's being used to create these super polished profiles and generate perfectly worded messages, it could make online interactions even less authentic.
Right. It could become all about presenting this perfect version of yourself, even if it's not entirely real. And then when you finally meet someone in person, there could be this disconnect between the online persona and the real person.
Exactly. That's the danger. We're already seeing some of that with all the filters and photo editing apps out there. AI could take that trend even further and make it even harder to tell a genuine connection from a carefully constructed facade.
It's a slippery slope for sure. And it makes you wonder, at what point does technology actually start to hurt more than help when it comes to finding love?
That's a good question. But I think AI can also be used to encourage more genuine connections. It could be used to flag profiles that seem too curated or fake and suggest ways to make them more authentic.
Okay, that's an interesting idea. So it's not all bad. It really comes down to how the technology is used and what the intentions are behind it.
Exactly. AI is a tool. It can be used for good or for bad. It's up to companies like Match Group to use it responsibly and ethically.
And for us as users, we need to be aware of the potential pitfalls and not just blindly trust algorithms to make decisions about our love lives.
Absolutely. We need to be smart about how we use technology.
Well said. Okay, so we've talked about the good and the bad of AI in dating. It's complicated, no easy answers. But one thing's for sure, AI is going to play a huge role in shaping the future of Match Group and the online dating industry as a whole. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
I totally agree. This is an industry that's ripe for disruption and innovation, and Match Group is definitely leading the charge.
All right, now for the part you've all been waiting for, this is not financial advice, where we let our imaginations run wild with a completely outrageous, but maybe kind of plausible trade idea.
Hit me with it.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate for a minute. We've been talking about Match Group going all in on AI. What if they take it to the extreme?
I'm all ears.
What if they launch this premium service, let's call it Match Elite, that's like AI-powered matchmaking for the ultra-rich?
Okay, I like where this is going. Tell me more.
Imagine this. It's not just your average dating app. It's super exclusive. Uses all these advanced AI algorithms, personality assessments, background checks, even genetic analysis to find the perfect match.
Whoa, hold on. That's some next level matchmaking. But who's going to pay for that?
Think billionaires, celebrities, high-powered executives, people who are super busy and for whom finding the right partner is a top priority. They wouldn't think twice about dropping a ton of cash for a service that basically guarantees they'll find their soulmate.
It's like a concierge service for love. They take care of everything, vetting potential matches, planning the perfect dates. No more awkward first encounters. It's just these perfectly curated romantic experiences.
Exactly. And think about the marketing potential. Match Elite. Find your perfect match. Guaranteed. They could even partner with luxury brands and offer all these exclusive experiences as part of the package.
Bold move for sure. And you know what? It's not totally crazy. We're already seeing these high-end matchmaking services popping up for the elite. Match Group has the tech, the resources. They could totally jump into this market.
Now, whether it's ethical or not is a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But purely from a business standpoint, it could be a goldmine.
It could be, but it's also high risk, high reward. They'd have to invest a lot to make it work. The technology, the marketing, the people, and there's always a chance it could totally flop.
Of course. But that's what this is not financial advice. It's all about exploring the craziest ideas and having some fun with it.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe Match Group is already cooking something like this up behind the scenes. We'll have to keep an eye out for any clues in their next earnings call.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Match Group's Q4 2024 earnings call. We covered a lot, from their strong performance to their big bet on AI to all the potential challenges ahead. What's your biggest takeaway from today?
For me, it's the incredible potential of AI. Match Group is really going for it with this technology, and it's going to be super interesting to see how it changes online dating in the next few years. But like we talked about, with any powerful tool, we have to be careful about the downsides and make sure it's being used responsibly and ethically.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And remember, folks, this is just our take. Do your own research, talk to your financial advisor, and never invest more than you can afford to lose. Thanks for joining us on Talk Tickers. See you next time for another deep dive into the world of earnings calls.